warm welcome to a very special launch event from Cipla. My name is Dr. Sonali Bendre and I am your host and host for this afternoon. As I look around the room, I see a wonderful mix of people. A lot of mothers, dads, and of course, cute little children who've joined us today for this event. We are here to learn more about respiratory care, an area very close to Cipla's heart. With its campaigns and initiatives, Cipla has made significant progress in creating awareness and promoting effective management options for chronic respiratory diseases. Today's event focuses on sharing insights and information on respiratory care for children, including pediatric asthma. And I'm thrilled to be a part of it. We have a fantastic afternoon lined up for you all, with a little bit of conversation, some fun activities for our young friends, and a special appearance from characters that are straight out of a storybook. So let's sit back, relax, and get ready. With that said, allow me to introduce you to some very special guests. Please welcome Dr. Vikas Gupta, Head, India Business Prescriptions, Cipla Limited, Pediatric Consultant and Asthma Specialist Dr. Sonali Bhattacharya, and mother and Indian actor Sonali Bendre. A round of applause, guys. Where's the energy? Welcome, esteemed guests. Thank you so much for joining us today. Kicking things off, I would like to invite Dr. Vikas Gupta, Cipla's India Business Prescriptions Head, to open the event and give us a glimpse into the TUFFIES campaign, as well as a better understanding to what makes this launch from Cipla so special.
Can we have the, yeah, thanks. So very good afternoon, everyone, and a very warm welcome to all of you for taking time out and coming for this special initiative. As you know, that Cipla has been at the forefront of respiratory care for almost 6 decades now. This is something, what we breathe at Cipla. This is something, what we do at Cipla, and respiratory care, especially asthma, which happens to be the biggest chronic condition today out of India. Almost 7.9% children out of the Indian population suffer from asthma. I was recently told by Dr. Sonali that almost every other patient of asthma, happens to be a child, and that's the magnitude of the problem that we are dealing with. And at Cipla, we've taken it on us to make sure to do everything that we can to ensure that Indian children with asthma breathe better. So whether it has been the whole continuum of providing diagnostics, whether it has been devices, whether it is, the various treatment modalities and armamentarium, whatever was required by the practitioners, the medical practitioners, we have made sure that we make it available and give them the right choices to manage their patients better. With this campaign that we are launching today, which happens to be the TUFFIES campaign, we would like to give a warm welcome to this consumer awareness initiative, which is again a continuation of our initiatives that we have done in the past to spread the awareness for respiratory diseases. Whether it was Berog Zindagi, whether it is the whole Breathe Free initiative that we've been running for years to make sure that patients breathe better. Today, when we are talking of consumers as children, we took it on us to talk to them in a language, which they understand, and to make them aware of how a life with asthma can be lived, in a much better manner than what's happening today. So the whole intent, of launch of this campaign is to make sure that our children, who are suffering from asthma, do become more aware, and we are able to make a difference in making them breathe better as and when the disease progresses or the time betters. The Toughies comic book introduces various characters. There is a Vicky who happens to be a detective, his sister Minnie, the best buddy Puffy, and the best friend Gullu. Not to mean. So it'll be a very, very interactive medium. It'll be a medium through which people or kids would relate to. I'm myself getting addicted to it. So that's how it's not limited to kids anymore, I believe, but I'm myself getting quite addicted to it. It's just an effort to make sure that we speak to children in the language that they can understand even better. So with this, I believe that initiatives like this, the campaigns like this will inspire and make a difference to the lives of a lot more children who are today dealing with this particular disorder. I would also take this opportunity to thank Sonali, for accepting to be a part of this initiative. She herself has an experience, so she's somebody who's the right person, who's gone through what it means to be a mom of a child, and what difference can be brought to the life of an asthmatic child. Thanks to Dr. Barnali, as always. Thanks to the entire Cipla team, and I would like to remind you once again, this is a mission that we have all taken on ourselves, and we will not rest, till the time we do everything that we can to make sure that asthmatics in India breathe better. So I guess, that's the initiative, and so good job done by all of you, so far, and I really congratulate each one of you for living that purpose. So as always, this is just a new beginning, and let's see that how together we can make a big difference to the lives that we want to touch upon. Thank you so much. And with this, I would like to hand it over back to the MC. So thanks a lot, for the initiative.
Thank you, Dr. Vikas. That sounds quite an impressive mission. And the Toughies team does really sound like a lot of fun. In fact, I wouldn't mind being a toughie myself. Now I would like to invite Dr. Sonali Bendre, a pediatric consultant and asthma specialist, to give us a little overview of pediatric respiratory care. Dr. Bhattacharya is a dedicated practitioner with extensive experience in diverse healthcare settings. Her mission is to ensure that children with asthma are given every opportunity to thrive, and she does this by not only giving optimum care to children who visit her clinic in Pune, but also by training doctors across the length and breadth of the country. She serves as the course director for the CASPER program at CREST and contributes to the asthma training module at the Indian Academy of Pediatrics. She believes that every asthmatic is a toughie and a big-time winner. Right, doctor? So let's give a warm welcome to Dr. Bhattacharya.
Thank you so much for that very kind introduction. And ladies and gentlemen, I'm really delighted to be with all of you here today. And why am I not standing behind? Because unlike Sonali, I'm not tall and lissom. I'm short, but I want to be seen and heard. Okay? So today is a very big day for me because we are meeting to talk about a disease which is closest to my heart. At my clinic, we say that the airways and the lungs of the asthmatic children is the heart of my practice. Why do I say this? Do you know that asthma is the commonest chronic disorder of childhood? Globally, there are 350 million asthmatics, of which 50% are children. That means every other asthmatic in this world is a child. In India, nearly 8% of our children have asthma. 15 million children in this huge country of ours, with its massive population, are asthmatics. I am immensely grateful to Cipla that it's the first time ever that they have thought of a campaign that's dedicated totally बच्चों के लिए. It has always been बेरोग जिंदगी, huge celebrities who have had asthma as kids. It has always been adult-driven. What about the children? 50% of your asthmatics are kids. We as pediatricians are struggling because the public perceives asthma, dama means breathless. It is not so. A child with asthma can have chronic colds and coughs, coughs at night, cannot play, can have a little shortness of breath. That's the most of them. The ones that you hear in the ICU with breathlessness is because we haven't managed them correctly, or you haven't picked on your child's asthma and you haven't brought them on time to us. So we have a collective responsibility. हम सब एक साथ हैं तो ही जीत सकते हैं. It is not my show or Cipla's show or the parent show. It is all of us together. So ये journey कब शुरू हुई मेरे साथ? Today I'm 62. बच्चे, if you reverse the letters, how would that be? The alphabets? 62 को उल्टा करोगे तो what would the number be? That's it, moms. I was 26 years. I was an officer in the Indian Army. The uniform that I was most proud of wearing. I was a young mother with 2 kids. I was serving in an area where the floods came, and they needed an officer to go with the troops on flood relief duty. I spoke the local language, so my commanding officer said, Dr. Bernali, Captain Bernali those days, you need to go. And I said, yes, sir. A commitment, when you're asked to do something, is a privilege. When Cipla asked me to come for this today, it was a privilege. It was a call of duty. So I said, but I have 2 young kids. I'm a single mom. My husband's serving the Indian Army elsewhere. I need to take them. He was okay. I took the nanny and I took my kids and we went. They felt it was a big picnic because there was water all over. First 2-3 days, it was fine. On day 3, when I returned back tired in my uniform, the soldier who was looking after the family said, Mem Sab, Baba thoda sardi khansi hai aaj. Which was not a big deal because Eklavya used to get cold coughs frequently. But that night he got really breathless because it was damp, the tent was damp, and that triggered a huge asthma flare-up.
An understanding of asthma and for sharing with us your own personal experience as a mother and now grandmother. Further adding to the human experience, I would like to invite one of India's most celebrated actors and mother, Sonali Bendre, to give us her experience and thoughts on the TUFFIES campaign.
Good afternoon, everybody. Great to see so many of you here. First of all, thank you, Mr. Gaurav, Dr. Vikas Gupta, and I'm so happy to be sitting here next to Dr. Bernali, who I must say is stunning. I've been admiring her. You know, I've been wanting to ask her, what is it that you're wearing in your bun? It's so pretty and beautiful eyes. And you just said something about reversing the age, 62 and 26. I think you're 26-year-old. You're definitely not 62. The energy is that of a 26-year-old. It's amazing. And I really hope I can always live young in my head the way you are. And I think that also comes from having a purpose in life, which you do. And that's what keeps you going. And that is a great lesson that I'm going to take back with me today. But we are here for the campaign that Cipla is running for kids. The initiative is called TUFFIES. I've been part of Cipla's earlier campaigns also, and I agree with Dr. Bernali. They were targeted towards the parents, towards the elders, and this campaign is targeted towards the children. You know, we always, we don't give our children enough credit, or we don't believe how much they can understand and grasp a situation. But they are very mature, and when they're put in a position, and if you can explain things to them, they get it very quickly and they rise to the occasion. That's been my experience, where when I went through my illness and when I explained that to my son, he more than rose to the occasion, understood exactly what I was talking about, in fact, became one of my biggest support systems in that. And I find that when you treat your children, when you talk to them as adults, because you might need a little bit longer to explain a thing rather than saying, "Bade ho jaoge to samajh mein aayega." That statement is just not the thing. The moment you can take those 5 minutes extra and explain the thing to a child, I have realized that you have a more understanding teenager. If you've done that with your child in the younger age, your teenage years are easier because your child understands. They learn to, they understand the other side of it. They understand others' point of view. And suddenly the bond between the parent and the child is also much better. My child had asthma, and you were right. It was, though I was in the city with everything going on, it was a tough call to take because so many myths. There's so many things that people tell you, and it's like, don't put them on medication. They're going to start putting on weight. They will not have the strength. There's so many myths about it. Fortunately or unfortunately for me, I had a father who was asthmatic, and my childhood went in seeing horrifying asthma attacks, because an asthma attack, a full-blown, any parent who has seen it or anybody who has asthma in the family, when you get a full-blown asthma attack, when you can't breathe, life is over. Not being able to breathe, you just realize there's nothing in life without breath. And a person who's breathless and you can't do anything, and you can see that person that you love gasping for breath, is the most horrifying sight. I've grown up with that. The same myths went on at that point also. Alternative medicine, trying various things, not really understanding what is asthma and why does it happen. Lungs weak hair, but it's not. What is triggering the asthma is something that was never kind of, looked at or, what would I say, handled in that way. So because of that experience, when I saw that my child was getting cold, and the first thing that the doctors would say was that, oh, it happens, with children, their immunity is low, and, they are going to fall sick. I said, no, but, I know what I'm doing. And of course, for me, everybody jumping to the conclusion that only nannies knew what was happening about my child and I did not, was the conclusion that everybody jumped to first. So for me to say that, getting people to hear me and say that, listen, I know what I'm doing. I know my child should not be getting an infection constantly. He was born absolutely healthy, big boy, and he should not be falling ill like this. And there is something wrong. It was eventually our family doctor and not the pediatrician who understood what I was saying, because he had seen it with my father. He had seen me having allergies, not asthma, but allergies. So he said, I think this is the wheezing. And when the infection was happening, because the windpipe and the lung were getting constricted, and that's why the water that was remaining, in layman terms, was turning into septic, was turning into an infection. We were targeting the infection, and the poor child was being given so many, I did not want to give, but was being given antibiotics to take care of the infection and to get rid of the cough, which was basically his little body trying to open the windpipe, was being given cough medicine, which was making him droopy, drowsy, cranky. Hence, he was not feeding well, he was not eating well, and he was growing weaker. This cycle, it sounds like a small thing, but in that tiny little baby who is 1 month old, this cycle is a scary cycle. And yes, I did catch it at that point because I was a hands-on mother and I was not aware of it being asthma at that point, but I just knew something was not right. He should not be getting the infection. I know exactly how I'm handling the child, and this is not right. So when I figured that this was asthma, then started the way of how do we handle it. And the idea is to literally identify it the moment he starts getting it, and you give the pump, and you don't go into a full-blown attack, because when you go into a full-blown attack, by the time the child recovers from that attack, it's a month. It's a whole month that the child loses in that, you know. So, and then as they grow older, when they start playing, they've lost a whole month of not going out and not playing. They're out of the habit. They start sitting at home. They're playing video games. Earlier we used to be bookworms and read, but now even worse, they're sitting in front of a TV screen or a monitor or playing video games. And there is no, you know, and then the vicious circle starts. So for me, it was start giving him the medicine that is needed, which was him being a toughie, put him into the pool, get him to start building, you know, the lungs up by doing the cardio, by doing the thing, which would trigger, because cardio also triggers the asthma, which would trigger the asthma. So the idea was to tell him that, but you know what, tell him the stories of people who have achieved, who are players, you know, in the sports that your kids like my son liked basketball, and it was like, you know, okay, this is the player, and you know what? He's got asthma, but he's playing NBA. So and there's so many other heroes that you can, you know, Google, research, and tell your kid that, you know what, this is what you want to do? This is what this person does. Just takes this medicine and goes back to it. The idea was to keep getting the child back to it. And it's not easy because it really, asthma attack really drains the child of energy. They don't want to go. They're cranky about going back to playing. At that point of time, you need to put in that extra effort and take them back out there and get. But the idea is to, when you do that for the first few years and you tackle it in that way, today, my son works out, plays, swims, everything. He's as normal as he can be. He has his inhaler in his pocket, which I think he feels confident about that it is there. But honestly, it expires. We chuck it and get a new one because he doesn't need to use it most of the time at all at this point of time. But you just have it for, you know, if there is an allergen, if it happens. Also, the best thing is that however all mothers think we know our children so thoroughly, however well we know our child, if your child can start identifying the symptoms, he will identify the symptoms so much before you will see it. And so when he tells you, which my son did, he said, Mama, I think it's happening again. You take the puff, you go on. And, you know, it doesn't need to go beyond that. And, you know, you just go stronger, grow stronger, and you come to a point where you barely need it. So identifying and using it at the right time, for the right amount of time, you know, talk to your doctors. Don't overdo it. Keep a balance, but do it. The point is to identify it and, you know, start with it so that you can build on it. Is that the right way to say it, doctor? Is that what I would say? Yeah, so a lot of talking I've done, I think, and I must say that I have guts to do all this, considering there are two doctors over here. So, but this was just the mother's perspective, a daughter's perspective, because I've had the asthmatics in the family. But about the campaign, I would say that I love books and I've enjoyed comic books always. So this campaign with the characters that have been created is so wonderful and so fun that I wanted to read the comic book, and I agree with Dr. Vikas on that. I'm looking forward to the adventures of these characters, you know, Minnie, Gulu and Vicky, and of course them being, and I love what the campaign is called, Be a Toughie. And that is what we need to keep telling our children. Be a toughie, get on with it. And I think it applies not just to asthmatics, it applies to all of us. Somewhere in life, we all go through our various challenges, and the way to handle them is to take them head on and be a toughie. Thank you, everybody.
Am I the only one who got goosebumps? It was really touching. Thank you so much, Sonali, for your candor and for being so open with your experience as a mother. I'm sure you've inspired many mothers and families who have or are going through what you have gone through. One thing's for sure, you have inspired me to be an advocate of encouragement as well as support to children living with asthma with their families. Now, if I could direct everyone's attention to the screen here, we have a short video to premiere, but for this video to play, I need everyone in the audience to wake up, especially our little friends, and shout out loudly. Dun, dun, dun. Sonali, would you begin the shout out for all of us? Yes, the kids are going to join you. Dan, da, da. Come on, all the kids, wake up. Let's do it one more time. Dan, da, da. Vicky, Minnie, and Gulu. Come on, kids, join them. Come on, all the kids.
number 1. Crumbs on the table. This means someone was sitting here and eating cookies. Oh, but guys! The cookie crumbs are not all in one place, but have formed a trail. Oh, but guys! That means someone was moving with them. Looks like the thief escaped through this window. Look! Suspect in frame! Oh, but guys! That's my neighbor, Mr. Gogo! How do we find out if it was him? Crumbs! On his mustache! We should find crumbs on his mustache. He must have left some while eating the cookies. But how can we prove it, Bhaiya? Oh, but guys! Follow me, guys. The trio follows Mr. Gogo to the market. But guys, be careful. Okay, he's in frame. Let me see. Oh no, I missed him. But guys, what does Gullu say? But guys. Later that afternoon,